Welcome back to Remember Arcade Nights. This channel is dedicated to current and retro gaming, reviews and recommendations. Today, I have a Christmas list of recommendations. Let's say you just bought the Nintendo Switch for your child, that special someone, or yourself, and you're looking for a few games that you can add to your library. The Nintendo eShop's got you covered. First game I want to start with is a free game. There are loads of free games on the eShop, but this one I found in its simplicity to be the most fun. It's also one of the few games that doesn't require a permanent internet connection to continue to play. It's called Colors In. It's a color-based touchscreen puzzle solver game. Again, completely free to play and download. The next game I want to go to is another puzzle solver kind of game. It runs $2.99 in the eShop. It's called Toki Tori. You play as this very odd bird that you have to wander through certain levels and solve certain puzzles to get through and beat. The game is, to me, a lot of fun and definitely worth, less than $3 to check out. Alright, my next group of games come in at a price point of $4.99 each. I'm going to have to refer to my notepad so I don't forget to say anything. First one is a family-friendly multiplayer game called Happy Animal Bowling. If you're playing in the versus mode, it's 1 to 4 players. Very simple game that requires one Joy-Con to play. And you just hand this Joy-Con to each player one at a time. It only uses one button on the Joy-Con, and you can set your position on the alley, set your angle, and set your power. Then past that point, it's just straightforward bowling. Now, the different levels of bowling do change. Some of the alleys are longer or seem longer due to the angle, and the challenge changes. Again, loads of fun. It's even fun in single-player mode. Next is a game called Kamiko. This game is very reminiscent of an old Zelda game, and was released before Zelda Link's Awakening was ported to the Switch. I still think it's worth checking out if you like retro style games. It's fun. I've gotten stuck a few times, but if you just continue to wander around in circles, you'll eventually figure it out. My next game on this $4.99 list is a game called One Strike. This is a fighting game, kind of like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. It's got very similar, it's low-grade graphics, but basic premise is you're squaring off against an opponent and your goal is to kill this opponent in one hit. If you're looking for games for children, probably not this game. I would probably leave this game off your list for that one. But it's a fun play, and you can play 1 to 2 players in versus mode, or you can continue on. Before I get too far away from Happy Animal Bowling, I should also mention that that game has a demo on the eShop. My last game in the $4.99 list is called Rhineland's Hammer of Thor. This is kind of a unique dungeon crawler style game that employs some tabletop RPG aspects, such as you have a dice roll you use during combat, and I believe, if I remember right, you use it during your move. I haven't played the game in a little bit, but I need to pick it back up and go back through it some more and try to beat it. But personally, I found it to be loads of fun and definitely a little different and original. And for $9.99, it's not a bad game. It's a little more expensive than the other ones, but my next game on my list is a game called Implosion. This game's $11.99 on the eShop. Honestly, this was the first Nintendo Switch game I beat. I got it it was my second game that I bought for the Switch. My first game on the eShop. My first game I got for the Switch I didn't really like that much. I thought it'd be a lot of fun, but it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. So I started looking through the eShop and I found this one. This game also has a demo, and I played through the demo and got hooked, so I bought the whole game. Basic premise: sometime in the distant future, Earth is invaded by aliens that want to assimilate us. Humanity has escaped to space and is still alive and well, and it is thought that there are no survivors on Earth. You're sent back to Earth as a special envoy trying to stop the aliens from getting to the colonies, which they have found a way to get to the colonies, and you have to stop them. If you're playing through the game, you end up finding out that there are survivors on Earth, which changes your entire mission and makes the game more desperate. It's a Metroidvania-style game that you can go back and replay several levels and continue leveling your character up and get stronger and stronger. There is some adult language in the game, just heads up if you're looking for children. But beyond that point, it was a lot of fun. My next game group comes in at the $14.99 range. Starting to get a little more expensive, but still affordable. First game I've got in that list is called Bastion. It's another one of those games where the world has ended. You're a lone survivor, and you end up gradually finding a few other survivors along the way. And you're trying to rebuild civilization from what you can gather up in the ruined wastes. A unique aspect of this game is you end up developing these alcoholic beverages which augment your stats and change what you can do. And past that point, it's a basic beat-em-up style game. But well worth $14.99 and a lot of fun to play. Next game in this list is Gekido, Kintaro's Revenge. My channel is dedicated to retro gaming, so this game's right up my alley. This game is an old-school, arcade-esque, side-scrolling fighting game, where you have to fight your way through levels. Very reminiscent of games like Final Fight and the Ninja Turtles, and a lot of the side-scroller games they created in the same manner in the arcades. And it lends itself well to the Joy-Con's joystick controls. In survival mode, it's 1 to 2 players. In standard mode, it's a 1-player game. And it's pretty fun. Where I'm in the story mode, I'm kind of stuck, because I think I missed something along the way, and I may have to restart, see if I can try it again, but I'm having fun with it. My next game in the $14.99 range is a game called Mercenary Saga Chronicles. This is a tactics-based, turn-based game. This is actually a collection of 3 of the Mercenary Saga games, which adds a little bit more bang for the buck. This game, unlike the others, does also have a physical release. So if you have to have the physical copy, you can get one for this one. But personally, I think the eShop is the more worthwhile version, because it's $14.99, and even used, the Mercenary Saga Chronicles game is somewhere around the $30 range, everywhere I've found it. But personally, I would recommend this game, particularly if you're into the tactics style games where you're moving along a grid system and you have turn-based strategy and attacks. Originally, due to I mentioned I'm the blind gamer, I have a nearsighted issue. I hated games like this until I got to the Switch, where I can actually get it where I could read what's going on and play. And that kind of changed my entire world and view on those. So I've ended up collecting a lot of them. Which leads me to my next game on my list. which is Final Fantasy VII. It's available in the eShop for $15.99. And I gotta say, that was a very well-spent purchase for me. I've always loved Final Fantasy storylines, but again, due to my eyesight, I've hated turn-based strategy games. Because on previous versions of the system, you need to forget, a lot of kids, if you're watching this video, you probably don't remember these style TVs, but those big box TVs that didn't work very well for definition and reading hurt my eyes if I got a little too close on it, because I have to get really close to read things, and there's a lot of reading involved in some of these games. And I just could not play them. Well, as our technology has changed, my view on these games had to change, because it's actually put it in a way where I can play them. I downloaded this game, and I'm sure I'm not even a fourth of the way through the game. I got to a point where I needed to stop because I was getting a little too angry with it because I kept getting my butt kicked. And I kept getting to the point where I only have one hit left and I can beat this boss. And he finishes me before I can make that one hit. That was frustrating, and I'm sure a lot of you probably remember stuff like that. But Final Fantasy VII has a bunch of counterparts on the eShop as well. I do highly recommend getting it. It's worth getting. My final game on my list is a game called Chasm. It's the most expensive game on my list, coming in at $19.99. This one is a roguelike dungeon crawler. The closest thing I can mention that's similar to it would be the Castlevania games that preceded, the PlayStation Castlevanias. Any of the ones that were on the previous systems, like Castlevania 4 is very similar to this. But what makes this one a little more similar to Symphony of the Night, which was on the PlayStation 1, is you can change your weapons, you can do stuff like that. You can even adopt the whip and play through like Castlevania, but the whip, I gotta tell you, it's a very weak weapon in this game. But what makes this game very unique is it's a roguelike. It has permadeath, so if you die, it's over. And every playthrough is different. So you could completely restart the game, go back into the same mine, and the tunnels will be different. So everything changes. It's a very dynamic game. Personally, I bought it because I was looking for something similar to Castlevania. And I know some of you might know that they released a huge Castlevania collection on the eShop, which I'll talk about in a later video. That's a video by itself. I do have that one. But it's no Castlevania, but it is fun, just like Castlevania. And let me really quickly look back at my list, make sure I haven't skipped anything. So far, we've talked about Colors In, Toki Tori, Happy Animal Bowling, Kamiko, One Strike. I believe I did skip one. One in the $4.99 bracket. Super Wailu Demake. This game is similar to Super Mario Bros. It's a side-scroller very much made in that kind of a style. And personally, for $4.99, I think it's worth getting. It's fun. I know this seems kind of chaotic, but I'll be honest, I've been trying to make this video. This is probably the 5th attempt of the video. I had some problems along the way, and rather than try to edit it back together, I decided just to redo the whole thing. But that game is very fun. We've talked about Implosion. Yep. Alright, that was the only one I missed. I think we're doing good. Well, now that we're talking about the eShop, let's talk about something that I had downloaded a ton of games in the eShop before I even noticed this little section, because again, I mentioned I have a vision issue, and this part of the eShop is there, but it's in really tiny print. Some games that you buy on the eShop get you eShop gold points. Now you might be wondering what this is. Well, these points add up over time, and each point is worth roughly like 1 cent. So, if you get enough of them, on certain games you can get a good discount. Some games you could just use them and redeem them and download the game and have been paid no money at all for it. The only problem I can tell you about the gold points is they have an expiration date. They only last 12 months. So, if you don't use them, you lose them. But they've made some of these games that I've gotten on here. I didn't personally pay these prices on these. And keep in mind, I don't have any sponsors yet. This is just me doing this for fun. But I used these gold points to get some of these games for free, because I had built up enough of them. Because again, I hadn't noticed them. And I just all of a sudden noticed them one day, and I happened to click on it. It's like, what is this? And I'm like, ooh, that is cool. So, prime example, one of the games I got for free was Toki Tori, $2.99. So, checking out the eShop is well worth your time. Also, to use the eShop, you have to establish a Nintendo account and a login, which that's fairly easy to do once you get that done. You don't have to put a credit card in its memory. You can manually input that every time. So if you're trying to prevent your kids from bankrupting you, don't attach a credit card to it. Make it where you have to personally input that number in every time. But if you're just a lone player, it's okay to save it, because your eShop has a password. And if they don't have that password, they can't log into it. Well, this has been the video from Remember Arcade Nights, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below if you have any games you've encountered in the eShop that you think I should mention or check out that I haven't mentioned in this video. And back to a previous question from a previous video where I was talking about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which I'm still playing Let's Go Eevee because I'm going to get the save data I need for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I've been collecting Pokemon games for the 3DS, and I want to know, which game do you recommend I start with? I really would like your input on that, because, again, I've never played a standard Pokemon game. I'm only familiar with the Let's Go Pokemon games. Well, guys, I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed my video.